Enough with the general stretching, nagging, snagging, poking, prodding, poking, pulling, massaging that never seems to get lasting results. If you're looking to get rid of a nagging, tight, or painful groin that doesn't ever seem to go away, then you need to train your groin with active mobility. Your groin muscles don't work in isolation. Your body works as a whole. So you need to train your groin how to play nice with the rest of your body. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact 5-minute daily groin mobility routine I teach my patients so you can immediately start to move better, feel better, and function better. Now, if you stick around and do this whole groin mobility routine with me, I'm going to show you a little secret move at the end that teaches you how to cement the changes of the groin mobility that you're creating. All right, let's get into the routine. So you know that this routine is step by step. They go in sequential order. Each piece builds off the other. So follow along with me to get the most out of this 5-minute daily mobility routine for your groin. So first we're gonna start with what's called either a goalie stretch, frog stretch, or stripper stretch, depending on where you've maybe heard it from. But the basic setup with this is going on your hands and knees. Then you're going to separate your knees until you feel a gentle groin stretch on both sides, and then hold that position. What it looks like from the side is this here. And once you have that gentle stretch, rock back and forth just a little bit just to make sure it's comfortable. It's not too painful in your hip joints. You should feel a stretch, not like a bony pinch. And also make sure you are separating your knees enough so you do feel some sort of stretch there. The main component with this piece is pelvic tilting. You have to understand how to tilt your pelvis back and forth. So to do this, we're gonna start with doing pelvic tilting. So we're gonna go on hands and knees. I'm gonna have you just stick your butt toward the ceiling like this, and then tuck your butt under. It's called an anterior and a posterior pelvic tilt. For ease, I call it J-Lo booty and plumber butt, because for obvious reasons, it looks like sticking your butt out like a J-Lo booty and then tucking your butt under like a plumber butt. We should be able to tilt your belt line like this back and forth, because this here will get us the groin stretching or mobility that we're looking for. So go through that a few times, and as long as you have that, we're ready to move on. So let's get back into our goalie stretch here, separating the knees. And once I have this position, we're now gonna try to pelvic tilt from this point. So what's really important here actually is that we want a plumber butt here. So we wanna start with the plumber butt, tucking the butt under, and then we're gonna slowly rock back until you feel some restriction and movement in your hips or groin. And then once you have that, now you're gonna slowly J-Lo up, and you should really feel those groin muscles pulling there. Again, it shouldn't feel like a hip pinch. If it is, we have to modify it a little bit. You might have to go a little more narrow. You might not rock back so far. Okay, so let's do this together. We're gonna do about 10 reps here. Tuck the butt under, sit back, J-Lo booty up. Good. Rock forward, tuck under like a plumber butt. Sit back, J-Lo booty. A few more here, tuck under, sit back, and J-Lo booty. Make sure you're breathing through it. Nasal breathe as much as you can. Nasal breathing is important. Good, now we've got that. Let's move on. So for the next step, we're gonna use the same move. We're gonna isolate one leg versus the other. So I'm gonna go in this direction so you can see it's the same goalie stretch setup. I'm gonna start with my right leg. My right leg, I'm gonna kick it out like this. Same idea is we wanna separate the legs enough where you feel a groin stretch. You should feel more on this right side now. Same thing, I'm gonna tuck my butt under, sit back, and then I'm gonna slowly J-Lo booty, and you'll feel it a ton more on the right, if not only on the right. Okay, so from the side, I'll kick this leg out. I'm going to tuck under, sit back, J-Lo booty. Tuck under, sit back, and J-Lo booty. If you want, you can actually tilt back and forth down in this position. Tuck under, sit back, a little bit of tilting back and forth here. Let's do about 10 reps, and then we'll switch to the other side. Same thing, just left leg, tuck under, sit back, and a little J-Lo booty. Sit back, and J-Lo booty. For me, I feel a little bit more on my right groin compared to my left. For whatever reason, don't get too worried about that. Tuck under, sit back, and J-Lo booty. I'm gonna tilt back and forth a little bit. Couple more, sit back, and tilt. Tuck under, sit back, tilt, making sure that I'm breathing through it the entire time. Good. Next, we're gonna go back into just both knees down, and we're gonna really focus on position and control. So instead of just tucking under, we're just gonna find neutral spine. So we'll go J-Lo booty and plumber butt, and then find that neutral. Once you have that neutral position, you really wanna focus on body awareness that you're keeping that position. So we're simply gonna rock and hold that. So I'm gonna keep my position, rock back, I'm pushing my hands away, sitting back into this, and then I'm gonna rock forward, holding position, really focusing on that neutral spine. Breathe through it. You almost want to imagine that your back is flat, almost like a tabletop, and you're trying to balance something on your back. And you don't want it to tip under this way. And when you rock forward, you don't want it to tilt forward like this. So what you're doing is an anti-J-Lo booty when you rock forward, and an anti-plumber butt when you go back, because your groin will dictate this when you go forward and back. So when you find that position, keep it, rock back and rock forward. Really sink into it, making sure you're not letting the plumber butt happen here. Keep that back neutral. And when you sit back into it, you'll really feel a groin stretch there. If it bothers your feet at all, or to get a little bit of ankle mobility, you can tuck the toes under and do the same thing, which is actually a phenomenal drill here to improve your squat mobility before you do any sort of squatting or lunging activities. So rock back, rock forward. We'll breathe through it. Good. And to make sure we're getting the most out of this through breathing, which is super important for your core and stability, we can use a Core360 belt to pay attention to our breathing during this process. You can pick up one of these in the link in the description. In the meantime, you can take like a TheraBand exercise band or some sort of stretchy band, or maybe if you have elastic waistband on your jeggings or your gym shorts or something like that, you can tie that up and you can feel the stretch when you breathe. So what I'm doing with the Core360 belt, there's knobs in the front and the back, and I'm trying to fill this out as I breathe. So it's a really good, what's called a tactile cue to feel that you're getting good core breathing through this process. This is important because when you're stable and you're breathing through your core and your center, it's gonna allow the groin to release better. So we'll get back into this position, find our neutral spine, and then rock back and rock forward. Once I've got that movement down, now I'm really gonna focus on my breathing aspect of it. You can hear me here, nasal breathing. Really sinking into it, and then coming out of it. Take some breath, sink a little bit deeper. And rock back. We can do it for about 10 repetitions. The next position we're gonna go into is our tripod. This is a developmental position. I think it's around 9 months, 10 months, something like that. It is basically this position like this. However, you notice here my back is pretty rounded. I'm not gonna get the most out of this. As we talked about before, we wanna keep a neutral spine in that last exercise to really get that groin stretch. So if I'm tucked under here, I'm not gonna get a pretty good groin stretch. I need to get my butt straight. The problem is, I don't have the mobility for this. I'm too far down here that I can't stick my butt out. I can't get out of this rounded position. So I can use a yoga block. You can use a textbook, a phone book, if those are still around, or something else to bring you up. So if you notice here versus here, now I can get into a much better position. Also, separating your knees a little bit more can help you sink in. So that way, if you're narrow, you're here. If you're a little bit wider, you can sink in more of that neutral position. You can see my alignment or my neutral spine looks a lot better here. Okay, so now that I have this position, then we're gonna add some movement to it. Okay, so first and foremost, the first movement is breathing. So I'm just gonna breathe through here. And I'm really thinking in my mind, you won't see it, but I'm trying to J-Lo booty a little bit, because the more I do that, the more I'm gonna feel it in my groin through here. 10 breaths there. I'll switch sides, same thing. Ooh, tighter, definitely tighter on my right side. I'm gonna stick my butt out, get a little wider with my feet, and breathe. And I'm also thinking about breathing down and low through my butt. Sounds graphic, but when I breathe low in my pelvis, that pressure in my core is gonna help me release that groin muscle better. Good, if it starts to cramp up at all, back off a little bit. My right one is a little wonky today. After I got my 10 breaths, now we can work on a little bit more movement. We'll do alternating tripod. So I'm gonna go from here, same principles of breathing and a neutral spine, and I'm gonna slowly try to switch my legs here. Really trying to just slide and stay stable through the motion and breathe through it. Notice I'm not shifting a lot. I'm keeping relatively centered and stable. I don't wanna just be sloppy jalopy side to side like that. So if you see from here, we don't want a lot of shifting and turning. Really want us to stay pretty darn centered, and then watch me how I believe my lack of movement of my torso versus my legs, and it makes it very challenging. If anything, it's more of a core exercise at this point. Good. And the last step with the tripod is we're gonna do some reaching. So once I have my tripod set here, we can do some reaches. So I'm gonna start with my right arm and simply reach up, 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 and turn. And I'm really trying to isolate rotating my trunk and not shifting my body. So I'm thinking if my lower half is stuck in cement, I'm just rotating my torso in a barrel. So I'm reaching, 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 long, long rotate. And as I go and breathe through it, and I feel a big stretch right through here. And we can do both sides. Go across here. You won't get as much of a groin on this other side, but it's still great for trunk rotation. So we can do, let's say 5 on each side. Or if you really want to get the groin, it's going to be the opposite arm of the leg that's down here. And come back. I'll switch sides and show you what it looks like this way. I'm going to go here. I'm going to set up, get my neutral spine, and I'm going to reach and rotate this way. I'm also pushing down with my hand here to stay proud and tall, and come back. Notice I'm not doing this, or I'm not doing this. I'm not shifting and moving my lower body in a weird way. I'm thinking it's stuck in cement and just rotating my upper half. Both sides, 5 times. And then lastly, as an added bonus, this is not really a mobility drill. This is more of a strengthening and stability drill, but it's very important to maintain some of those changes in your groin you're looking for. So this is a modified Copenhagen plank. You may have heard of one of these before, and typically a Copenhagen plank, what it is, you go on your side, and if I had a chair or a stool, you set up your top leg like this, and you come up into a plank like this, and that works my groin right through here, which is great. But typically, when we set this up, this can be a lot of strain on the knee or in your shoulder or somewhere else, where the first part would be just to go a little bit further down so your knee is on the bench. But I like better is using a developmental position. And this is an oblique sit, around 7 months. And what we do, it's a modified oblique sit. And I'm gonna set up in this position here. And if you look at my legs, my bottom one comes up like this, my top one is here, and my knee is bent. Okay, and what I'm doing now is my left leg right here, this knee is pushing down as I'm lifting my hips off the ground. So watch closely. I'm doing this. If you can see, this leg might be in the way, but my hips are up. That knee's pushing down. I'm feeling this in my core, my side core, and my groin at the same time. So you can get a better angle. We can take a look at it from here. This leg's up, this one's bent here. This comes down. I'm lifting my hips up off the ground and holding. Good. Another angle, I'll show it to you here, is if you look at my hips down here, this knee goes down, this comes up, and you hold for time. I'm gonna breathe through it. You can see I'm shaking maybe. And I'm gonna shoot for, if you can, 30 seconds holds, 30-second holds. You wanna do 3 sets of 30-second holds on each side. It's a great way to cement the changes of this 5-minute daily groin mobility routine. So quite often, the reason why people have groin issues in the first place is due to a lack of spinal or pelvic stability and mobility. We don't have really good control or mobility of those areas, so then the hips and the groin have to take over. So to work on those, I have a low back daily mobility routine here, and also a mid back daily mobility routine here, because the mid back, as part of your spine, that plays a role in how your groin functions and feels as well. Check those out.